Hey everyone, AstroKid here. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about your midheaven sign. And what exactly is your midheaven? It is the highest point in your birth chart. This is the point in your chart, usually abbreviated as MC. It's near your 10th house, or usually the same sign as your 10th house. And it represents your reputation, how you're perceived by the public. It also represents your career. And I've seen it to represent what you strive for, what are your goals when it comes to your career, what you do for a living, what you want to do in your life in general. This theme of pursuing something and achieving something is relevant to this essence of your midheaven sign. So by doing your chart, seeing your midheaven, you get a good idea of not only your career, but also how the public sees you and also what you're striving for when it comes to your major goals professionally. And that is what we're talking about in this video. By the end, we're going to get into not only your career based on your midheaven, because that's been talked about. We kind of understand that by now. But what's different about this video is that I'm going to talk about with you guys based on your midheaven sign, what exactly is the essence of what you're striving for? How do you approach your career, and also how you're perceived by your colleagues professionally? A lot of times we have this impact in our career that goes beyond us, that goes beyond our intentions or our goals. So we're going to see that dynamic with your midheaven sign, not just the career and what you can do based on your midheaven, but also what is your greater impact here based on your midheaven sign. You guys can read this for any chart that you want to read. So if you like to look at your Vedic chart, or you look at your sidereal chart, you look at your tropical chart, whatever sign is next to the MC point, that is your midheaven sign. For Aries midheaven, this is a placement where you're somebody who finds yourself in careers where you are a leader, where you're pushing things forward, you're leading other people, and this does benefit you when it comes to your positioning in your professional sphere. It's almost better for you to be in a leadership position, on a leadership team, leading other people, and this could be the goals you are striving for when it comes to your ultimate goals in your career. It's like having your own business, leading your own team, being someone who can lead other people. And I've seen with this placement with you guys is that you're usually in careers where your physical body is required. So you are an athlete, maybe you work in the sports industry. Also, I've seen like models have this placement. So models are like posing, wearing clothes, taking pictures. So you could be a model or you want to be a model. You're in spheres professionally that are competitive. So we talked about sports, being an athlete, but also just environments that are crisis-like. So you work in the medical field, like as an EMT, maybe as a nurse, someone who specializes in some specific practice within the medical field. So you heal people, maybe people that have serious injuries or wounds. That could be something you interact with in your workplace. This is also a placement for chefs, people who work with knives, heat. You're in the kitchen cooking, and that could be a passion of yours, something you strive for. All of those fall under this domain of Aries and Martian energy that you have as your midheaven. When it comes to what you're striving for, you're striving to be in the top spot. You're striving to be number one, to be a winner. Aries is really competitive energy, and that's the energy you adopt in your professional sphere, where you might not have that naturally in your everyday life. You might be someone who is compromising. A lot of you guys have Cancer ascendant, so you are someone who wants to help other people. You're supportive and adorable and doll-faced, but then when it comes to your career, when it comes to your profession, you are a beast. You are a warrior. You want to win. You're competitive, and that is a spirit that almost helps you more so when it comes to your midheaven, since it's about achieving something, striving for something, achieving your goals, and having that warrior-like spirit, that competitive mentality, Mamba mentality, that brings you to the top faster. It also brings you the sense of power in a way that aligns more with your natural inherent energy. So maybe that's your approach when it comes to jobs and your career, is being more aggressive than maybe you naturally are within your personal dynamics, but having that savage energy really does benefit you when it comes to pursuing your goals and achieving things. Now let's talk about your impact that you have. So you're somebody that's seen as aggressive, assertive, dominant. A lot of times this spirit that you have that is competitive does end up being what your reputation is. It is your impact. People see you as a winner, someone who's competitive, someone who's assertive. And again, this really is sectioned off with your professional sphere, where people that know you personally might not even see this side of you, but when it comes to the public, people do know you to be savage-like and more assertive. And so it also means that you're somebody who breaks down barriers. And I feel like this is a powerful theme I've seen with Aries midheaven. It's like you're the first to do something, the first person to do something in your career, in your professional sphere, maybe the first Black woman to do this thing, or the first person of color to have this position in your company. And so you usually knock the doors down for a lot of people and you don't even know it. And I think that's the true theme of Aries energy, is that it's just pure powerful energy. So whatever you do with that is like very powerful and causes like a ripple effect for people after you. So you might not even know that you broke doors down for people that look like you to be in this industry or do this career. You might be the first person who have a certain position in your career. You can be this first person to have a certain career where people might at first see it like that's not a job, or that's not going to make money, that's, you know, whatever, dismiss it. But then once you do it, you gain status with it, you make money with it. So then people see it as something that is respectable. People start copying you because you were the brave one to do it first. And this sense of courage is something that you're known for by the public and how people perceive you. And when it comes to your public perception, people can be a bit scared of you. They can know of you or know what you've done and be like, oh, I'm a little bit intimidated by that person. You cause this effect within the public where you're somebody to fear, somebody not to mess with. You're someone that it matters when it comes to competitors, competition. People see you as a threat. And a lot of times I have seen you guys can have haters unnecessarily, or you cause a very strong reaction in the public. Or people can be kind of naturally harsh to you if you do something publicly. People hate on it, or you can struggle a little bit with people having this strong reaction towards you. Like we were talking about Aries energy, Martian energy, it's just pure energy. So having that power as your midheaven, people feel threatened by it, they feel excited by it, they feel motivated by it, they feel something by it. So you do cause some sort of reaction in people, whether it's hate, love. It's very strong usually, the reaction you cause in people, but you usually build off that energy and use that when it comes to your fuel of achieving what you want, which is usually to be in the top spot. And it's likely a lot of you guys have planets conjunct your midheaven. So if you want to know what those planets mean conjunct your midheaven, I posted on Instagram about the different planets conjunct your midheaven and how that affects what we're talking about here, especially your reputation. And that's linked down below if you guys want to see it. It's up on my Instagram, AstroKit. Now for Taurus midheaven, when it comes to what you're striving for, when it comes to your career, you're usually in positions that are comfortable. We know Taurus energy, it doesn't like working. It's not about, you know, doing the hardest work for the least amount of pay or doing the hardest work for no reason. I think a lot of you guys do find yourself in positions where you're able to have a lot of luxury, be paid well, but also exchange the amount of energy that you actually want to give. And so you find yourself in careers that are glamorous. You want to be surrounded by luxury, glamour. A lot of you guys are likely to work at a company that's like a big company. Maybe they have a lot of resources there. They have a big budget. You're likely to work in creative industries. I see a lot of Taurus midheavens work in film. So you want to be an actor or just work on set. That's actually what I learned from a lot of Taurus midheavens that I know, is like there's so many jobs on a movie set, on a commercial set, where you might just think of actors, directors, people behind the camera and then in front of it, but there's so many people like PAs and makeup artists and set directors. So a lot of you guys might be one of those cogs in the wheel when it comes to the movie industry. You find yourself on movie sets. That's really common with this placement. You find yourself in careers where you have to use your voice, you have to be a spokesperson for something, be a speaker of some sort, since Taurus rules the throat, the voice. So your ability to speak, the ability to articulate is really important when it comes to your career, somewhere or another, whatever you do. And when it comes to what you're striving for, your goals, ultimately with your Taurus midheaven is security, stability, luxury, where the opposite of Taurus is Scorpio. A lot of you guys have that in your 4th house. So you know what it feels like to have scarcity, to not have certain resources. So when it comes to your career, you have this ultimate desire to want to have financial stability, financial security, be as comfortable as possible, live in luxury, and be this person who is stable and financially prosperous ultimately. And I have seen a lot of you guys get lucky when it comes to your career in terms of achieving financial security, achieving financial success. What you do in your profession usually is like your ticket out when it comes to being in challenging situations or not having the resources you need, but you find those resources when it comes to your profession, your job, and it usually is a huge keystone of your life. And when it comes to your goals in general, you are stubborn, you don't move, you don't budge, which is the benefit of Taurus energy. You want to achieve what you want to achieve. It might take a little longer, it might be at your own pace, but you're not budging from what you want, and that's gonna be something that propels you when it comes to your success in life and achieving your major goals throughout your life, and especially through your career. Now, when it comes to how people perceive you, they see you as someone who is glamorous, bougie, luxurious. This is kind of like your reputation. And these are environments you find yourself in professionally. So maybe you find yourself in environments where you're around celebrities or you're around glamorous events like movies, weddings, and things along those lines. And so the way people see you is that you are someone who has wealth, you have stability. Even if you don't have it yet, you just are seen that way. And especially since a lot of you guys do have Leo ascendant, you're seen as this person who's strong and forthright and worth paying attention to and being in the spotlight for that reason. So when it comes to your lasting impact on who you are, how people see you, how the public perceives you, is that they see you as someone who is inspiring. You could have this rags to riches story. You have this sense of glamour about you that people feel attracted to. I would call this a fame placement, having Taurus midheaven, since it is ruled by Venus. So people find you as a source of pleasure, whether it's your looks, your voice, your sense of style. People feel attracted to that. And that's usually your key to success when it comes to achieving things in your career. A lot of people call it pretty privilege. You guys have it definitely. And this pretty privilege does propel you to spaces you would never be in without having a Taurus midheaven in the first place. So you guys are baddies, you guys are ambitious, goal-oriented, and I think a lot of you guys can find wealth through your career, through your profession, and that's something worth focusing on if that is a goal in your life, which it likely is for a lot of people, is achieving success and financial stability. I think the part of our charts where we have Taurus is usually an area of our life where we have more likelihood of finding that stability and wealth in a secure way. And for you, since it's in your midheaven, you find that in your profession. And if you guys have planets conjunct your midheaven, not just empty 10th house or no planets up there near your midheaven, I did a post on Instagram about the planets conjunct your midheaven, all the planets. So if you guys are curious, if you guys have placements there, then go on Instagram. I'll leave the link down below. My Instagram is astrokit. Now for Gemini midheaven, you guys are known for so many things. You're known for being versatile. And how exactly does that affect your career? This means that in your professional sphere, you do choose to do a lot of things over the course of your life and might find some indecision when it comes to your career sphere. So it's like, I want to do this, I want to work with children, and then maybe you want to work in the media. You can find yourself like straddling different career spheres, but one way I've seen this manifest for so many people is that you find your footing in the media industry. In this day and age, social media is really relevant, so that's where you find your career, where you want to work or work already. Now, a common thread for Gemini midheavens is socializing because of your career. It's a theme that whatever you do professionally is like you have to interact with other people, you make a lot of friends, make a lot of contacts, and that's usually your key to success somehow, is the people that you know, the conversations that you had. I've seen with Gemini midheavens that they'll get a job, but it'll be through another person, through referral, but it'll be very random. Like you just have a random conversation with someone, you say what you do or what your specialty is, and they'll be like, oh, I have a job, or I know someone. And you could get professional opportunities through the conversations that you have, through the socializing that you do, and leaving no stone unturned when it comes to who can help you professionally. And I think what a lot of you guys strive for when it comes to career, when it comes to your goals and achievement, is being able to say you have done a lot of things. You strive for variety, which kind of goes against the normal pattern of thinking when it comes to goal achievement. It's like, oh, I have this one big goal and I'm going to attack it my whole life, which is true for other midheaven signs, but for you it's unique because Gemini is about multiples and doubles. So you have multiple dreams, multiple things that you want to achieve. And I think one of your biggest fears or things you want to stray away from is usually being typecasted as one thing or just doing one thing your whole life. That is something that brings you dread, or what you don't want to do, what you don't desire is just having one career, one position your whole life, and not being able to branch out, do different things, and have variety with your professional goals. I think one of the talents you guys have naturally is charisma, where you might not even think you have that. Maybe you were an awkward kid or you didn't fit in, but with this Gemini midheaven, people find you appealing because of what you're saying, what you're speaking to other people, how you express yourself. It's likely a lot of people find you really funny. So this is something that might be kind of new to you once you get to your professional sphere. It's like, wow, people listen to what I say. People want to hear me talk. People really like my podcast. But it's because this Gemini energy helps you have your words on display to the world, how you articulate yourself. And I think when it comes to how people perceive you is that they see you as someone they can talk to. They see you as a best friend, someone cheery, bubbly. And this is something that helps a lot with your public image. People find you appealing. A lot of different people find you appealing. You are funny, not to just this demographic, but this demographic and that demographic. So this sense of appeal is very variable for you, and a lot of people see you as someone that they want to pay attention to due to what you express, what you say, and how you say it. And I feel like a lot of you guys make great comedians. Like, this is a really funny midheaven. Like, literally, you guys are naturally funny, especially on social media. There's so many things you can do with comedy on social media, like skits and stuff. Many of you guys have Virgo ascendant, so it's a really powerful energy to note is that you have your chart ruled by Mercury if you're Virgo ascendant, and then also your midheaven ruled by Mercury. So there's this theme here of needing to exchange ideas, needing to express yourself, to socialize, and appealing to people is really what you're doing with your career, what you strive for, and how you find yourself in different situations publicly. Ultimately, I do see a lot of you guys in careers related to social media, like a social media manager. You're good at marketing, you're good at writing, you could write articles for different publications. I see this being someone also who's in professions where you have to like move around a lot. So maybe you travel for work, and maybe you drive for work, or that's part of your job. So you're doing a lot of different things with your career, and that sense of variety is going to be your key to success when it comes to achieving something or achieving your major goals in life. And ultimately, your lasting impact is related to the things that you say, the messages you communicate, the things that you publish through social media, your writing. It has a really strong impact on the collective consciousness at large, and your ability to communicate to the world is what people know you as, which usually boils down to people thinking that you are personable, funny, intelligent, you're good at teaching, someone who has a lot of variety and diversity about them, and you become like this symbol for a lot of people of being able to do what you want, express yourself, and have a lot of fun while doing it. And if any of you guys have planets conjunct your midheaven, I posted on Instagram about planets conjunct the midheaven, all the planets and how that affects your reputation. So if you guys are interested, that's on Instagram, link down below, and also my Instagram is AstroKid. Now for Cancer midheaven. So a lot of you guys, your emotions are connected to your career. What you do professionally, you are emotionally invested in it. So much so that it becomes a workaholic situation. You love working, it emotionally satisfies you. Given that the most sensitive planet, moon, sensitive sign, Cancer, rules your midheaven, you can feel sensitive to public criticism, sensitive to the public in general. Some of you guys might like to be behind the scenes when it comes to working in your professional sphere, and be a little bit more supportive when it comes to your professional positions, where maybe you're not the leader, maybe you're not the person leading the team, but you're supporting the person that's leading the team. You're supporting your team members, and this is naturally where you find yourself in career professions, for example, that are supportive, like someone who's a therapist, a counselor, a teacher, a babysitter. These are people who have roles in society where you are supporting other people, nurturing them, and supporting their emotional well-being. I've seen a lot of times that this manifests as being involved in family business. So you're involved with business with your family members. Maybe your mom or dad already established a business at some point in their lives, so you work for them, and you could have siblings that you want to go into business with. Somehow in your professional life, it tends to be like a family affair, not just you working on your own, but having your family involved somehow. And when it comes to the sense of what you're striving for, your ultimate goals, it is relevant to a sense of peace, security, softness, not doing things so harshly or being aggressive, but the sense of sensitivity does find its way in how you approach your career, how you approach your goals, and what you want to achieve. You approach your goals, you want to achieve things in a feminine way, and using your feminine energy to achieve your goals is a theme for you in your life, where you don't want to do it aggressively, assertively, but maybe more passively, using elements of receptivity, being someone who does things calmly. So it's not like Aries midheaven where that's more aggressive masculine energy to achieve things, but you're like, okay, let me chill, be gentle, I can achieve what I want at my pace in a calm way and in a peaceful way as well. And this is something people notice about you publicly when it comes to your image and reputation, is that you are someone who is feminine or has feminine energy. You seem soft and gentle and approachable, and there is this sense of comfort too when it comes to your career. So that's something you want to have when it is in your professional sphere, is like you want to be comfortable. You want to do things in a way that brings you emotional comfort, physical comfort. So even though, you know, there's a lot of jobs you can have, but you're like, okay, am I going to be comfortable there? Do I feel safe there? Do I feel a sense of security there? And that is something you lead your job search with. And when it comes to your lasting impact on people, people see you as someone who is supportive, caring. You're seen as someone that does help other people or did help other people. When people remember you or think about you distantly, they're like, oh, they were a supportive person, they were helpful, they helped society in some way. And I think you're someone with the unique talent where you can connect to the public's emotions. You're able to draw an emotional reaction out of people. Sometimes that's for better or for worse, though. I have seen it be like more negative, where you bring negative emotions out of people. But either way, you do have that skill of being able to tap into the collective conscious emotionally, draw in their supports, their emotional support. So if you're able to like create a storyline about yourself and communicate yourself to the world and connect with people emotionally, that's really powerful, because once you have the public's emotions, then you're able to have power, have influence, and have a position in your professional sphere where people do support you, respect you, and see you as someone they admire. And if any of you guys have planets conjunct your midheaven, I posted on Instagram about planets conjunct the midheaven, all the planets and how that affects your reputation. So if you guys are interested, that's on Instagram, link down below. And also my Instagram is AstroKid. Now for Leo midheaven, you guys are people that want to be leaders in society. You want to be in positions of authority, positions of admiration. This is something that comes naturally to you in your professional sphere. And I've seen it really strong almost out of all the midheavens, is that you want to be able to work for yourself. You want to be able to have your own business, to be seen as a top dog in your career. So when it comes to your approach, you're thinking from the mentality of wanting to be at the top. You are competitive, you are dominant. This masculine energy of the sun, of the Leo archetype, does benefit you professionally, where you pursue things in a direct way with a sense of focus and ambition. You end up achieving a lot because of this energy of wanting to achieve and wanting to be in this top spot, and that strong sense of desire does give you a lot of success in your professional life. It's almost always a theme for you guys that you gain some sort of fame through your career, through your reputation. You interact with famous people on a regular basis in your profession. So you could be a publicist, you work for a famous person, you work for a popular company, you could work in the entertainment industry, basically anywhere where there's cameras. That's how I like to think of the Leo archetype. It's like, if the cameras are there, if TV is involved, then it is likely that Leo midheaven is working there. And I feel like a lot of you guys don't really have to worry when it comes to your profession, or worry when it comes to achieving things. It's almost like your destiny to do so. Even though there are bumps in the road, there are challenges and adversities, you overcome them and end up being in this position of authority at the end of the day when it comes to your career. I've also seen it manifest that you work with kids, you work in the school system, maybe you're a nanny, you're working with children on some level, and that's something that brings you a lot of emotional fulfillment or happiness. I think I know someone with the Leo midheaven that was like worked at Disney as like a Disney character in the park. So to me, that's very like Leo midheaven, where you're entertaining people, maybe you're entertaining kids specifically, like a children entertainer, like a clown or princess or something like that. And what you do for your profession is usually theatrical, dramatic. It's very exciting. What you do aspire to in general is a life that is exciting, that does bring you status, fame, authority. You don't want to just be plain, simple, boring, mediocre, or not have anything interesting going on in your professional life. You need it to be exciting, bring you a sense of drive, and bring you this sense of enthusiasm when it comes to how you behave in your professional sphere. You guys thrive in authority positions, in leadership positions, leading other people, having your own business, for example, being someone who is inspiring. You're that person who might have a really inspiring backstory, maybe like a rags to riches story, or a story where you had to overcome adversity, and people feel really attracted to that. When you have a storyline, when you have a story to tell, you're someone with a lot of layers. Many of you have Scorpio ascendant, so there's this theme of complexity to you. People feel attracted to that. And given this natural attraction you draw with your personality and your public image, it brings you fame, it brings you notoriety, it brings you a sense of attention that's more heightened than other midheaven signs. So when it comes to your lasting impact, the public remembers you as someone who was inspiring, who did help a lot of people, was like a inspiration for a lot of people. You're someone who was a leader in your industry. You were the first to do something, or the first to be recognized for something. Some of you guys can go through the sort of life story where maybe you weren't popular, or you weren't looked at as a competitor, someone to admire, but then eventually you become someone that is that. You transform yourself into this person of power, into this person of importance, fame, celebrity. You are a source of excitement for a lot of people, a source of inspiration, and a source of motivation when it comes to your journey in life. And if you guys have planets conjunct your midheaven, you can see what that means up on my Instagram. I posted planets conjunct the midheaven, all the planets. So if you guys want to know how that affects your image and your career, that is linked down below. Now for Virgo midheaven, you find yourself in careers where you help other people, where you're of service to people. It's likely you're involved in the health industry, as a nurse, somebody who's a health practitioner. This could be in the alternative medicine world as well, where you want to heal people through certain techniques and strategies. And it's common that you work with animals as well, or that's something you want to do with your career as a veterinarian, work in a pet hospital. You want to protect endangered species, or just be in environments where you are around animals. So what I've seen as a common theme with Virgo midheaven is that you are hardworking. You're someone who puts in a lot of effort, and even though you might take L's in your career or L's in your professional life, you always bounce back from it. This is a placement where you're resilient, so you achieve things, have success, maybe not on the first try, maybe not on the first go around, but you take the notes you need from the wisdom you gained, from the L's you took, and you put that into channeling it towards success, taking those notes and applying it towards future endeavors. And a lot of you guys do end up having a lot of success in your life due to the sense of grit, hardworkingness, and people see that. People see you as a hard worker, someone to look up to. I've seen with this placement, a lot of people see you as a role model, something you've done or did. It's like, wow, I want to be them. I want to be like them. People often can follow your sort of playbook that you did to achieve success. So with your playbook, like we're talking about, you maybe took an L or two and then bounced back from it. So people learn like, hey, even though this happened to them or they had faced adversity, I think they're inspiring. I think they're noteworthy, and I want to be like them or do something like them, especially if they have a similar career or goals as you. And I think even though you might not have that intention to help or heal people, or that's not your literal career where you're serving other people or being of service, it's like you indirectly help and heal people with whatever you do. And it's usually with the story that you have, what you've been through. It's like people see that and they feel inspired by it, and the public perceives you as someone that helped them in some way, you healed people in some way, even if you didn't know it. So I do think when it comes to your career, whatever you do, as long as you're putting in effort and being thorough with it, that will bring you success. And being organized, being plan oriented, that really helps you. I think with Virgo energy, it's challenging a bit because it works in your favor to be obsessive or meticulous in particular, leaving no stone unturned. And I think with Virgo midheavens, we can see that even though other parts of your life, you might be a little bit sloppy, messy. A lot of you guys have Sag ascendant. You might be forgetful in some places, but when it comes to your career, you're like on it. You're not missing a beat. You're looking at everything that's happening in your business, analyzing inventory, being really scrutinizing with hiring employees, being very perfectionist when it comes to your resume, your cover letter. Being a perfectionist to whatever you do is something that's common with your career. Whatever you do is like you want it to be ideal, you want it to be perfect, and that's what you strive for. When it comes to your impact and lasting impact on people and the public, is like they see you as someone who was hardworking. They see you as someone who was perfect. You did that specific craft, that specific sport, whatever your profession is, to its ideal maximum capacity. And as it ends up, you usually end up being seen as someone who was the best at something and no one else could top it. It's even in your legacy, when you're already done with your career, you're retired, your like jerseys in the rafters, your plaque is on the wall. It's like nobody was like that person. Nobody did it like them, because you had such a meticulous, hardworking, perfectionist approach to it. So I do see a common storyline in your career for Virgo midheaven where you had to work a long time or work really hard at something before you achieve success with it. Like those people who might be an assistant for a lot of years, or you might be working behind the scenes for a while before you get that big break or that big success moment. But all that hard work that you put in, and maybe those years of being unacknowledged, makes you indestructible when you do achieve success, because you're not fazed by success, you're not fazed by distractions that come with it, but it's like, okay, I built up this strong sense of fortitude, resilience. Nobody can touch that. Nobody can take that away from you, which makes your successes even more valuable to you. And you feel grateful for them. You know how to handle success and know how to handle it when it comes to you, because you've already worked so hard before you even got it. Because sometimes we see with certain midheavens and certain people's lives where they achieve something and then they don't really know how to handle it. They have this big thing and then they fumble an opportunity because they didn't have the proper fundamentals to handle it. But I think with Virgo midheavens, you guys have those fundamentals to receive something big, know how to handle it, and make it even bigger. And if you guys have planets conjunct your midheaven, you can see what that means up on my Instagram. I posted planets conjunct the midheaven, all the planets. So if you guys want to know how that affects your image and your career, that is linked down below. With Libra midheaven, you guys are likely in industries that deal with the aesthetics of something. So fashion, for example, architecture. You are someone that works as a creative director, maybe a stylist. In your professional life, you're in a position where you're like the judge of something. So you have to decide what is the mood board for this photo shoot. You have to decide what is the capsule collection for this fashion brand. And you can find your way into the legal field as well, or that's a career you want for yourself as a lawyer, a paralegal, someone who helps people with their legal documents. Maybe you help people decide things. Maybe you want to become a judge as your goal when it comes to that industry. You're in positions where you have to appeal to people. So a lot of times that could be politician, for example, but it's also like celebrity, a public figure, where you have to appeal to your audience, to different demographics. And that could be a strong concern for you in your profession, is how you're perceived by people. Are you seen as likable? What is your reputation? That's something that concerns you, but it's also something that's relevant to whatever you do. So some careers you have to have the public on your side. You have to have public appeal work in your favor. So you are involved in careers that are relevant to that. And that's something that's a theme in your professional life overall. From what I've seen with Libra midheavens is that you're in fashion or makeup careers where you have to decide what's beautiful, or you have to make someone else more beautiful. So you're a makeup artist, you're a makeup consultant, which is another huge avenue with Libra, is consultancy. So you consult people on things, you help people decide things, you assess someone's business and point out what they could do better. And I think you guys are really well suited to PR, consultancy, hair, makeup, fashion, the legal field. And overall, when it comes to your approach in your career, you want to do it in a way that brings you more social connections. I think this is the placement where you guys want to make the necessary alliances. You want to be allied with people in power, because usually that involves them maybe giving you a job that you want. If you network correctly, you can have really valuable, lucrative opportunities come your way through your network. So I think whatever career you're in, you usually approach it in a social way, in a way where you want to seem likable, you want to seem approachable, polite, diplomatic, and have those necessary social cues that help expand your network and bring you more opportunities in the long run through your relationships on their own. And speaking of relationships, I see this be a theme for a lot of you guys in your life, is that you're in a relationship that brings you some sort of professional success. You want to be in a partnership that brings you success. It's likely that you find yourself in a high profile relationship that could be a desire of yours, or you want a partner who is like a business partner, someone you have like a power couple with. There's this essence here of not just having success on your own or getting to the top on your own, but doing it with a partner, having a business partner, doing it with your spouse. And through this essence of partnership, you're able to elevate and have more success professionally. And I've seen it manifest too, where some people with this placement have just like a really supportive partner. And I feel like that helps a lot of people career-wise. So if they have this person that's like their cheerleader, their support system, they feel like they can have more professional success because they might not feel like they want to motivate themselves. But if they had that motivational force or that support system, that emotional base, then they're able to have more professional success. And I feel like that aligns a lot with Libra Midheaven people. So now let's talk about your lasting impact with your reputation through your career. So a lot of you guys will have a lasting impact that was well liked by people. So you're someone that's seen as likable, you're seen as approachable, like we were talking about earlier, and you're seen as someone that brought balance to something. You brought a sense of fairness to something. That could be something you strive for in life, where there's this glamorous essence and theme with Libra and Venus ruling your midheaven, but it also gets in this space of like social justice, helping the world, helping other people. So that's one of the ways people might see you in a long-term impact sort of way, is like they were someone that brought justice to this, or they were someone that helped other people and was supportive and brought a sense of fairness to the world where there wasn't before. When it's all said and done, you were known as someone who was slayed. You were known for your fashion, your makeup, your beauty. Those are industries you find yourself in, but just in general with your reputation, you're seen as someone who is beautiful, well-dressed, well put together. Other people look to you for fashion inspiration, beauty inspiration, makeup inspiration. You're somebody whose beauty and aesthetics really impact the world around you. And similar to Taurus midheaven, you guys are both ruled by Venus, Libra midheaven, Taurus midheaven. So a lot of you guys do benefit from pretty privilege in the workplace. So that is something that catapults you. It brings you to different spheres of success, is being beautiful, is looking good. And you find that the more you work on your appearance, how you come across to people, your looks, it does bring you more professional success and also a sense of notoriety from the public. And if you guys have planets conjunct your midheaven and want to know more about that, I made this post on Instagram about it, about all the planets conjunct the midheaven. So that's linked down below. My Instagram is AstroKit. Now for Scorpio midheaven, you guys are known for transformation. This is the placement where you transform people's lives. Whatever you do in your career, your profession, you help transform people. A lot of the times it's in therapy, for example, transforming people's mental states through being a psychologist, someone who's a counselor. You could work in an environment, for example, like a hair salon. You're transforming people's looks. A makeup artist, you're transforming their physical appearance. Maybe you want to be a plastic surgeon. You transform people's looks through that, which is more permanent. You are a tattoo artist or want to be one. Whatever you do professionally has a transformational element to it. And I think this is one of the most interesting midheavens to look at, since Scorpio energy, it's kind of private, it's kind of secretive. So what you do for your profession is maybe unknown to people. It's something that's kind of secretive. You could be that person where people talk about you or think about you like, what does she do, or what is her career? It could be kind of a question mark in people's minds. And even the nature of what you do is secretive, where you can't tell people. So when you work with certain people, brands, celebrities, you have to sign NDAs, so you can't talk about that. Or you work on a certain film project, you can't really talk about that. So there's this element here where you have to keep it a secret, or you just prefer to keep it a secret because it's your business and it's not something you want to tell everyone. When it comes to your career, you are a catalyst for change. So wherever you are in your professional environment, you usually cause some sort of ripple effect of change within your industry, within the company you work for, even if you're not cognitive of it, which can kind of alienate you in some professional environments where you're seen as someone that created change, but most people don't really like that, or like the person that changes things, where you're the person that gets a lot of pushback for what you did, or gets pushback for the decisions you made. Even though it was necessary or needed for where you were, you can kind of be hated because of it. So I have seen with Scorpio midheavens that they'll be like the first ones to do something in their career, and they'll be kind of hated for it, outcasted for it, alienated for it, but then people eventually catch on and copy them later. So you might do something and it's kind of seen as taboo at first, or it's seen as like, what? No way. Like, especially in certain careers that are so professional and so rigid, you're like that pattern breaker within those environments. And usually the pattern breaker is not seen as the person that's admired or given the glory for something, but you are necessary when it comes to changing the pattern within archaic or antiquated environments professionally. I do think your role is really important in the world, even though it can be a bit alienating. You're the person that creates change. Somebody got to do it. Somebody has to be the villain, so to speak. Speaking of villain in TV shows and movies, a lot of people casted in villain roles have this placement, or if it's like a reality show, there's like always a villain, so that person might have Scorpio midheaven. Either way you put it, you might be in these spaces where you're seen as a wild card, an outcast, villain, like a negative person, but it's still really relevant to the storyline. It's really relevant to what's going on. It's pushing an agenda. You guys are really necessary when it comes to the environment you're in professionally. Let's talk careers a little bit more. You guys are involved in careers where you are helping other people, involved with other people's money, other people's belongings. So you could be an accountant, for example. You're somebody who like audits businesses. Maybe you're a consultant, so you help people fix their businesses. Since that's the theme relevant within Scorpio, is other people's belongings, other people's money. So that is what you're dealing with in your profession. And I think a lot of you guys will work sort of behind the scenes in some professions. And I've seen with Scorpio midheavens that you are privy to information other people aren't privy to in your field, which again goes to this theme of alienation. Like when you know something other people don't know, you have a source of power that other people don't have. So this power comes from being able to know the inner workings of something, know how something works. Maybe you charge like to give advice about these things that you know. A lot of you guys are behind the scenes in your profession, so you know like the inner workings of the movie industry, you know the inner workings of the sports industry, like all those like secrets that other people don't know. And I think a lot of your secretiveness can be derived from this theme of like knowing or being privy to or acknowledging like what's happening behind the scenes, but not being able to really expose it or tell it to the public. So the secretiveness is because you have to keep certain sensitive information private because of where you work or the company you work for. Now, when it comes to your lasting impact, how the public perceives you, we touched on it earlier. There's a theme here of you breaking patterns, creating change. A lot of you guys are seen as powerful people. Again, I think this is one of the placements that is better in hindsight or in posterity. It's not one of those in the moment placements where people see you and immediately think, oh, I'm a fan, or oh, I like this person, or I like what they've done. People kind of might not like you at first, which is that love-hate double-sided coin of the Scorpio archetype. So people might hate you at first, love you later, hate you again, love you again. But I think what is lasting though with your reputation is that you've done something powerful. You did something that mattered, even if people didn't like it, even if you were ridiculed for it. You did something that made a lasting impact in your industry and for the world at large. And the unmistakable quality you have is power. People see you as someone with power. People see you as someone with influence. So whatever you do, whatever industry you're in, it's like, that's a powerful person. For whatever reason, I might not know the reason, the public might not know the reason. Again, there's that theme of secretiveness with Scorpio, so you just seem like someone powerful. So when someone has power, people want it. People feel threatened by it. So the public can feel jealousy towards you, obsession towards you. They feel this sense of intimidation from you. You cause a lot of reactions in the public, which ties into that theme of influence and power. You couldn't really have influence or power if you didn't make waves, if you didn't make things shake within the public, emotionally, psychologically, and even physically. Honestly, you guys are kind of like an earthquake. You just cause ripples, waves. You're unmistakable, undeniable. A lot of you guys do have Aquarius ascendant, so that theme of change is present within the Aquarius archetype. And then again with your Scorpio midheaven, so there's a lot of power here you hold, not just in your midheaven, but if you are Aquarius ascendant, you hold this sense here of being the pattern breaker, being the oddball, being the odd one out, being someone who's unique and willing to do things other people aren't doing. I think the goal for a lot of Scorpio midheavens is power, is influence. How can you have power in the world? How can you have influence through your business, through your positioning in your career, through being a leader? There's a sense of you wanting to have a strong positioning in the world that cannot be taken from you. And you can see this in your approach to career because you guys are strategic. You think with a sense of strategy. How can you achieve things? You're not just doing things mindlessly. You're just praying for a good outcome, but you're really in control here, which is what Scorpio is about, is having control of something. So you seek to have control of your career, your reputation, your image, how you're seen by the world. And this is a common thread with your goals. What you achieve professionally is having control of how you're perceived, how you can have impact on people, and what your reputation is and career is overall. And also when it comes to your lasting impact on the public with your reputation, you are someone whose struggles are on display to the world. So something challenging you went through, traumatic events, adversities is something the public sees of you, and they usually see you overcome it. And that's where this sense of power comes in with your Scorpio midheaven is, wow, that person went through this hard thing, they overcame it, and now they have this sense of empowerment from it. And you might even take the next step to empower other people who've been through similar things, and help them get through it as well. So I think your role in society is really important one way or another, even if you think it's not, even if it doesn't matter on a global scale right now. It is this positioning where it has the potential to affect a lot of people and transform the world in a powerful way. And from what I've noticed, this is a position where you guys have copycats. A lot of people do what you do, or they want to use your playbook to do the same thing. I think Scorpio represents impersonations. So when you have Scorpio midheaven, you have people wanting to impersonate you, wanting to do what you do. You could have this placement and literally people want to look how you look, like have your same aesthetic. Especially if you have a signature look, signature hairstyle, signature makeup, people want to do the exact same thing. And it might be kind of creepy for some people. I've seen this so many times with Scorpio midheavens. It's like, why are some people doing what I'm doing? Or why are they looking exactly like me? Do you be yourself? But you have this impact on people where they just want to copy and paste exactly what you do. If you guys have planets conjunct your midheaven, you want to know what that means for your career, your reputation. I made a post on Instagram about it, about all the planets conjunct your midheaven, what that means for you. I'll link it down below, and my Instagram is astrokit. Now with Sagittarius midheaven, you guys want to win. You're competitive, you have big goals, you have a big vision for yourself. And this is a great sign to have as your midheaven because it makes you ambitious yet optimistic. So what you can achieve, what you want to do is limitless to you. You don't have a box you want to fit into, you don't want to fit into anyone's box or follow anyone's pattern. You want to create your own patterns, create your own narrative, storyline, and have your own success that way. And we know Sagittarius is a sign that's known for luck. So this can be something that you're seen as, or something the public recognizes about you is like, oh, that person's really lucky. That person achieves this and achieves that thing and gets everything they want. And that could be something that is true or untrue for your personal life. But what's seen here though is your sense of belief. So even though the cards are stacked against you or you have adversities, you really have a strong belief that you can achieve what you want. You can achieve anything. And I think that's something that bleeds into all of your goals, how you approach your goals, how you achieve things is, how can I make this work? How can this happen? What is the possibility here? With this optimistic energy of Sagittarius, you want to achieve things and you feel competitive from that point, where some of the other fire signs, I think, in the midheaven are competitive, but in a different way. But I do feel like Sag midheaven competitiveness is more about the bigger picture, your family lineage. How can you help people? How can you be a bigger impact on your life, but also people's lives around you? And we can't talk about Sagittarius midheaven without talking about freedom, which is one of your ultimate goals. Something you really want to achieve is personal freedom, financial freedom. A sense of freedom is really important to you in your career. So whatever you're doing professionally, you do seek to have a sense of fluidity with what you do. You don't want to be rigid or stuck in a routine or stuck in a position where you're being told what to do or given orders, but you want to have control and freedom with your career. And you see that in your approach when it comes to your professional goals. And I do think you ultimately strive to have a success story. This success story you write for yourself is relevant to your childhood, how you grew up. Like we're talking about, maybe people only see your W's, they see your wins, they see you achieving things, but they don't know the backstory, the hard work, the L's you took. So there's this whole complete story you're writing for yourself throughout your life, throughout achieving things. And I do see that as a theme with Sag midheavens is that they usually have a documentary later in their life or write a book about their life. They have this profound story that's a lot deeper than what the superficial reputation could be for you in general. This success story tends to be inspirational to other people, and in general you could find that that's the impact you have on people, is you inspire them, you encourage them to think outside of the box. They look at you and think, wow, they could do it, so can I. And you give the sense of hope to the world, a sense of belief and optimism to other people through your actions that you do publicly. Speaking of the world, you do have this worldly impact with what you do, and it's likely that you have a career that's involved with international relations. So at some point or the other, you're working with other countries. Maybe you're working in another country. Maybe you work for an airline or at the airports. You have this essence within you, like we're talking about, where you strive for freedom. So what careers bring you freedom? How can you travel for work? How can you do exciting things in your job? That is really what drives you when it comes to your professional sphere, is excitement, enthusiasm, and a sense of variety. And so through your career, you're able to experience the world, do different things, and through these experiences, you're able to reach people on a global scale and have a big impact there globally. And I think this is one of the rare midheaven signs that's seen pretty positively across the board when it comes to your public image, your reputation, your impact on the world. You might have sort of a shaky start or not be perceived a certain way in the beginning of your career or when you're younger, but eventually people will come to see you as someone that is a leader, someone who's generous, jovial, enthusiastic. People want to listen to you, people want to take your advice, and people see you as a great teacher or guru ultimately. A lot of you guys do have Pisces rising, so you have your chart ruled by Jupiter, which rules Pisces, and then your midheaven ruled by Jupiter. So Jupiter is a really powerful planet for you when it comes to your influence, how you approach the world, and your major life themes in general. But even if you don't have Pisces ascendant, but you have Sag midheaven, Jupiter is still a really important planet for you. It brings you a lot of abundance and expansion when it comes to your public image, but also your career as well. If you guys have planets conjunct your midheaven, you want to know what that means for your career, your reputation. I made a post on Instagram about it, about all the planets conjunct to your midheaven, what that means for you. I'll link it down below, and my Instagram is astrokit. Now for Capricorn midheaven, you guys have a career that is one that you put a lot of effort into. You work from the ground up, you put in a lot of effort, and you have discipline when it comes to your approach to your professional life. This is a placement where you have to be an authority figure, you want to be in positions of leadership or power or influence. This comes naturally to you as a Capricorn midheaven person. And I think your approach to career is one that is serious, not playful. So even though you might be playful and silly and joking in a lot of parts of your life, you can be very serious about your profession, really serious about your reputation, where when it comes to reputation, you have to be really mindful of what you do publicly, even how you interact with people in personal environments on a one-on-one basis, because that can affect your reputation for the long run. So you're really aware of your positioning in your workplace, positioning in your professional life. Who do you know? How do you interact with them? How do you seem to people? Because you want to come across as someone who is taken seriously and is respected. You can find yourself in positions that require maturity, and that's something where you exhibit that at an early age. Even though you might be the young one in your career, young person on your team, you are very mature in your professional environments and giving advice and working hard, meeting deadlines, not showing attitude or too much emotion, but being very serious, disciplined, hardworking, and mature. What we can see when it comes to professions specifically is that you are in authority positions. So whatever sphere you're in, if you're in a corporate environment, you are the case manager or leading a team of people. If you work in retail, you're like the store manager. Maybe you are like a manager for like the district. I think this is a placement that excels at overseeing other people. Since a lot of you guys do have Aries ascendant, not everybody, but combination of Aries ascendant, Capricorn midheaven, you're a good leader. You see what needs to be done, you dictate that accordingly, and since your presence seems one that is mature, that is austere, that is professional, people respect what you have to say. So it's not like you just boss people around or bark at people. You have this respectable vibe that people want to follow what you say or listen to what you say because of your demeanor. With this placement of Capricorn midheaven, you're likely to work in positions that are relevant to the government. So you work for the government, you work for a federal agency. It's likely you work for a company that is traditional, that's prestigious, that's been around a long time. That could be one of your goals, is wanting to work for a company that is older, so it's been around a few hundred years, maybe a couple decades. And that gives you a sense of prestige with your reputation. When you work at a company like that, or you have a high position in that sort of company, it speaks to you in the sense of prestigiousness. And you guys might want to do things the traditional way when it comes to your job. You want to apply for jobs with traditional dynamics in their company. It's not like you want to work for something that's cutting edge or a startup. You're like, I need to work somewhere that's established, somewhere that has pedigree, somewhere that has a distinct hiring process. And a lot of you do benefit from this traditional mentality when applying to jobs or working in your desired profession. Ultimately, I've seen with a lot of Capricorn midheavens, you want some sort of status boost with your job, with your career. You don't want to just work somewhere and it's not known by people or not respected, but you want to work somewhere where it's like you have respect because you work for this company, you have respect because you're in this position professionally, you have respect because you achieved this many accolades in your specific niche that other people haven't achieved. So the sense of higher achievement is really strong when it comes to your goals, when it comes to your career and professional goals especially. I think that's overall a theme and thread in your approach to your goals and your things that you strive for in life is wanting to be at the top, wanting to be at the top 1%. You don't really want to settle for mediocrity or be in the middle or just at the bottom. You're like, I need to be at the top. I need to be at the upper crest. You want to be in this position of seniority, in this position of prestige, and that is what satisfies your goals ultimately. Now, when it comes to your lasting impact on people, on the public, people perceive you to be an authority figure, someone who was important. You do achieve status throughout your lifetime, throughout your career and professional journey, and this is something to be respected. So it's oftentimes seen with this placement of Capricorn midheaven that you achieve legacy with your career. You have a big legacy that you build for yourself, and this is respected by other people. People see you in a serious manner. So whereas other midheaven signs are more playful or like childish or entertaining, there's this very serious, astute vibe and reputation you have, and it is trickled down to the impact you have on the public overall. The public sees you as someone they don't question, someone they undisputedly respect, someone they see as a leader, a person who gives orders, doesn't receive them. You are someone that ultimately is held in high esteem by the public. And for some people, it can take a while to achieve certain success, which is the main theme of Capricorn. The main theme of Saturn ruling your midheaven is success through discipline, success after overcoming adversity, success after receiving rejections or loss, able to be at this top spot at the top of the mountain after only going through your own trials and tribulations to get there. And some of you guys have planets conjunct your midheaven, so if you want to know what that means, I made a post on Instagram about it, about all the planets conjunct the midheaven, how that affects your reputation and career. That is linked down below. My Instagram is AstroKid. Now for Aquarius midheaven, you guys are the people that do things differently in your career. You take different paths, you do things in a unique way, and do things that haven't been done before in your specific profession. You are someone to question authority, question tradition, do things in a way that's different from your peers. And a lot of times your peers see this as shocking, something that's a little bit against the grain, out of the norm. And you could find yourself outcasted at some points and alienated from your professional spheres because of this energy you have to do things differently and go outside of the box. But I do think that coincides with this energy you have towards life, towards your goals, what you strive for, is wanting to do something that you haven't done before, do something outside of your norm, especially your family lineage, and being able to say that you created change in the world because you had that intention and wanted to transform things as they weren't before. Now, when it comes to your career, what spheres do you find yourself in? You find yourself in the tech industry, so working for a tech company, maybe you work with technology, or that was your major in school, so you do something related to that, like engineering. You could also work in general with a lot of different people. This is a placement I've seen where you have a lot of interaction with the public in your career sphere. You work in a place that just has a lot of people in it, like a stadium. You work for the government, maybe you work with the public, like social work, something like that. And you have a lot of interactions with a lot of different people in the professional sphere you work in. This could also mean you lead people. So you lead a group of people, maybe you're a teacher or a principal, somebody that oversees many different people. There's this social networking theme so strong in your career where you connect with a lot of different people, you know different people, and it's often seen that you might get a job because of someone that you know. So you have this social network, you call up a certain person, maybe they have a job for you, you meet a certain person, and they work in an industry and you want a job in that industry. So the social networking theme does benefit you when it comes to achieving professional opportunities. And that means a lot of you guys could work online. So you work as a content creator, maybe you work in a marketing agency, you work for a app, work for a social media brand. So anywhere within that realm is somewhere you might find comfort in, find success in, or see that your professional goals are aligned with that. But back to this theme of Aquarius and creating change, I think that's one of your goals in life, and in general that's what you strive to do, is do things differently, do things out of the box. And I think this is one of those placements that's really brave, where it takes courage to do something that people aren't doing. It takes courage to be the one person out of thousands doing this one thing, and then you look kind of crazy at first, but usually people catch on to what you do. And I've seen this so many times with Aquarius midheavens, is like people might look at you like, what are you doing? People are scared, people are put off, maybe they alienate you or ostracize you for what you're doing. That's so cutting edge. But eventually maybe they kind of warm up to it and catch on. So this energy that's might be kind of rejected at first ends up being adopted or accepted later on because of your Aquarius midheaven. That makes you someone who is a catalyst for change, the catalyst for creating change on a global scale, or even in your community, or even in the profession that you're working in. Is like, how can you do things differently from the norm and break patterns ultimately? We can see a lot of trend starters with this placement. You start movements, you introduce new philosophies, consciousnesses, ways of living to people that change the scope of how they were living, thinking, and understanding things before. And honestly, it can take a long time before people catch up to you. So we could see in history with Aquarius midheavens, it's like they did something and then like it's not till like 50 years later people get it. It's not till after that person dies people get it. So you could really be ahead of your time, but really like even more ahead of your time than you think you are, because people just really don't understand what you're doing, and then the greater impact of it isn't seen in the implications until way later in society. When it comes to your impact and how people see you and how the public perceives you through your professional reputation, they see you as someone who's a bit of a wild card, someone who's rebellious, someone where people don't really know what you're gonna do next. There's this shock value with your reputation. So you do this thing publicly, you do this thing professionally, it shocks people. Maybe you're the first person to do something, like the first Black woman to do something, the first Black person to do something, the first woman of color to do this in her field, and it kind of shocks people at first, but then people are like rallying behind you and support you more on a public level. I've seen sometimes people can be kind of discredited with this placement, or kind of like shooed away, like, oh, that's not but eventually people kind of recognize you later. So you might be in these underdog positions at some point in your career, or with your reputation. It's like not really recognized or acknowledged for the things you did, but it's not till later in posterity people really accept, acknowledge, and respect the impact you had in your professional sphere. And that's the thing I see with Aquarius midheaven. It's like, it doesn't really make sense till later. Like, wait till later and it's gonna make sense to everyone around you or to the public, and that's the effect you have with your public reputation. And through your ability to be this agent of change, you knock the door down for a lot of other people to achieve success in your same field, in your same profession, which is what it's all about, and which is what Aquarius is about on some level, is humanitarianism. So it's not just you being rebellious and crazy and wild card and shock value person, but it's like that actually helps people, generations of people, even in the subsequent years after you in your same profession, people achieve success because of your pattern and the patterns that you initially broke in your career field. And if you guys have planets conjunct your midheaven, I made a post on Instagram about all the planets conjunct the midheaven and what that means for your career and public image, so you guys can check that out if you want. It's linked down below. And my Instagram is astrokit. Now for you guys, Pisces midheaven, what careers do you find yourself in? It's likely you work in spiritual industries, you work in the health industry. I see a lot of times you guys work in mental health industries, so as a psychologist, counselor, a therapist. There's this undeniable theme with this Pisces archetype of helping other people, being selfless, sacrificing for people. So you find yourself in those positions professionally where you have to help others, where it is selfless. That's something that might be on your life goals list, is you want to help people, you want to help the world. And that's something you eventually do as you progress into your career and progress into the later years of your life. What I notice as a glaring theme for Pisces Midheaven is you guys tend to help people, especially that are underrepresented in society. So you work directly with those communities, work with people that need help in terms of unincorporated parts of your city. Maybe people need resources, people are in poverty, they need food in different parts of the world. So that could be something that's your mission, is you do want to help people, bring resources to people. So I think it's safe to say you guys have this worldview when it comes to your profession, when it comes to your career. It's not just like, okay, what can I do for myself? But it's like, what can you do for the world? How can you help others? You have this humanitarian, altruistic outlook professionally. And another common avenue I see with this placement is you guys are interested in the music industry. You have some sort of musical talent, which I personally think Pisces is really connected to music. So you find yourself being a singer, producer, someone who writes music. Maybe you choreograph music videos or dance numbers. Anything in the realm of music does interest you professionally. Just creative arts, I think, call you in terms of your career, where you want to do something that's creative. You want to do something that is not so structured. You want to work at your own pace. Maybe you want to work for yourself, do a kind of job that doesn't have a regular 9-to-5 schedule. Anything that is more fluid works for you in terms of your professional life and being able to have more freedom there. And I think when it comes to this theme of what you strive for and your midheaven, it's like you strive for this theme of going beyond the veil, going beyond the norm. I think that's what Pisces represents on a deeper level, is like what is beyond regular society that we do every day, that we understand, that we know well, that is our routine. You're like, okay, I want to do this thing that's out of my wheelhouse, that's completely different from what my ancestors did and what my family's done. I want to be this one person that's different in my family, for example. But I think in your career, you do find that this manifests as being able to go outside of the norms of whatever your career is, whatever's expected of you professionally. You tend to veer out of that and do your own thing and have success with that because you pave your own way. And I think your intention in general in life has to do with discovering mysteries, uncovering hidden information, uncovering hidden things that you're not supposed to know, maybe more taboo things. And you could find these themes kind of trickled into your career, where it's like you're able to see beyond the veil when it comes to the music industry or the acting industry or the humanitarian world. We were talking about earlier this theme of humanitarianism and helping people. It's like there's a lot of information people don't know about, you know, this demographic that needs help, or this community, or this country. So you kind of go where other people wouldn't really think to go. You're willing to go beyond boundaries that other people aren't willing to go. So we're talking about humanitarianism, for example. It's like you have certain privileges as an American citizen, and you've grown up this way, but then you go and help people in another country that have nothing to do with you, and people are like, why would you do that? You already have everything. But it's like you're seeing beyond what you have, seeing beyond what the norm is and what you can accept and what's your privilege, and just being comfortable in that zone. But being able to go outside of that zone is what you'll see be a theme in your career at some point, or something you want to do in your life, is going outside of your comfort zone, what you've known, and going beyond the veil, so to speak, when it comes to your professional life. And I think when it comes to your impact and how people see you in the long term, is like they see you as this person that was able to do something no one else did. Like I see a lot of times with Pisces Midheaven, you guys are like the anomaly. You do something that other people don't really know how you did it, since there's this mystery with Pisces energy, this illusion sort of vibe, and you're able to achieve something in your career, reach some sort of status, and people are like, dang, they beat all the odds. They did this. I don't know how they did it. And it's because of this energy within you, this desire pulling you towards your midheaven of pursuing the unknown. Also, when it comes to this theme of impact and legacy, you're seen as someone who was helpful to people, who did help the world, who was charitable, generous. This selfless theme is seen with your reputation. Even long after you pass, in posterity, you are seen as someone who did want to see the world be a better place and help make that a reality. And I think similar to Aquarius midheaven, I was talking about this with them, is like people don't really understand what you do in the moment or in the present day you do it, but they kind of get it later on. You do things that are ahead of its time. You set the precedent for things, you set the precedent in your profession specifically, in your career. You're able to make these strides that other people haven't done yet, and it breaks the door down for other people to do similar things as you, create major change in the world, and you create this ripple effect with whatever you do professionally. Not always seen at first or recognized by people or admired. You might take years for people to recognize what you did, or decades for people to finally understand, like, oh, okay, this is what they were doing, or this is what they were saying. It's like everything you do kind of seems a little bit better, more understandable in posterity, which can be challenging because it's like you want people to hear you and understand and change things, but it takes a little bit of time for society to catch on. So therefore you can be seen as ahead of your time when it comes to certain topics, themes, or things that you do professionally or in your life in general. And we've seen in the lives of different celebrities and public figures that it's not till even after their death people understand what they did, like prolific artists or people that were public figures who are influential. It's like, oh, okay, that's what they meant. Their influence extends beyond their physical existence on Earth into way after that. Ultimately, I do think your power lies in being able to change the world, seeing a bigger vision for the world, and creating the world that you think is fair, just, helps people. I think you guys take a lot into consideration this theme of social justice and advocating for people and seeing beyond your own lifestyle, your own country, where you're born, and going beyond that to help impact the world on a global scale. Ultimately, you are seen by the public as someone that did make a change, someone that was a little bit offbeat or did things differently or wasn't aligned with society in a traditional sense. But that sense of you being outside of the box actually helps people within the box get out of the box, and you help expand the world in a way that is mysterious, otherworldly, and pivotal when it comes to the history of society. Overall, the public would probably describe you as someone who is a humanitarian, someone who's generous, someone who's creative, kind. You're seen as an anomaly, somebody who's sort of magical and genius and ethereal, where you're elusive and people know about you, but there's this sort of like mystery to your reputation that people don't know, but it gives you this sense of awe and admiration in the long term. And some of you guys do have planets conjunct your midheaven, and I made a post on Instagram about the different planets conjunct your midheaven and what that means for your reputation and career. So if you guys want to see it, it's on Instagram. I'll link it down below. My Instagram is AstroKit.